You're watching Barnstable this morning, and joining me today is Stacie Peugh. Stacie is the president and CEO of the Cape Cod YMCA, and we also have Rene King. Rene is the program director for the YMCA Achievers Program. Thank you both for joining me this morning.
Thank you, Sarah. It's great to be here.
Really excited to learn a little bit about this, more about this program. We've been watching it progress. I know it took a lot of work. Town Councilor Jen Cullum was really adamant that we bring the Achievers Program here. She worked very hard. I know funding was a struggle. So let's start from the beginning if we can and talk about why did so many people want to bring the Achievers Program here?
You know, I think the substance abuse problem that seems to be such an epidemic locally, and we're not alone in that in this community, surely across the nation, is really just getting people's attention to really focus on how do we prevent this cycle versus dealing with it after there's a problem. And so that highlight that really came out from some of the information that Jen had been studying, the town had been studying about how much money are we spending on, you know, the other side of the coin versus the prevention side. I think it really was great timing that the Y had a great program that specifically targets prevention that we were ready to go with, and we just needed a little push to get us off the ground, and Jen was just fabulous in helping get that push going.
Yeah, so very exciting. When do we expect the Achievers Program to begin?
Well, it actually has begun.
Oh, great.
So we kicked off the program this year in September. We started working in conjunction with Barnstable High School. We formed a really awesome steering committee, and Pat Clark, the principal of Barnstable High School, is on our steering committee. And thanks to Pat, he assigned one of his housemasters as our liaison. And we identified a criteria this year. Unlike the full-blown program, in our pilot, we wanted the students to be recommended. And they were recommended based on 3 categories. One, the student had to have shown some interest in college or a positive adult role model, be it a teacher, a counselor, another role model in the community, saw that promise within them. They had to have at least a 2.0 or a C average, and we were looking for the students that were first generation to go to college.
Wow. I'm one of those first generation to go to college, and I have to say, you know, that really does make a difference. If you are not coming from a family that has typically not gone through the process, doesn't know about financial aid, there are a lot of really huge hurdles to tackle for those students. So tell me how the program will help them bridge that gap.
So the program is based on 5 different pillars. The first and the foremost is academics, academic rigor. So even though we look at students that may start off with a C average, we know that they have to produce much better than that, and they have the capacity to do that. The second pillar is just general awareness of colleges. And so our program is both inbound, and we talk about different types of college, but it is also outbound. So one of our first field trips is we went to Boston College, and we actually had a full experience of first having a campus tour given by other students, other first-gen students that told their story. Then we always try to couple every outbound activity with a positive adult role model. So the Associate Athletic Director, Jamie, hosted us, and he told his story. He also gave our students VIP treatment, inviting them to a men's basketball game. The cheerleaders were actually able to go down on the floor with the cheerleaders. And then I think the icing on the cake was our bus driver. So yes, we did get to see Boston College up front and personal, but our bus driver allowed us to go and just tour all the numerous colleges in Boston. So we drove by Boston University, Northeastern, Emerson, and the students could actually see a vibrant community of college students. So that's our second pillar. Our third pillar is I would say, the foundation of this program. It is based on positive adult role models that have found a career that they're passionate about. And they come and tell their simple career story. We often want to hear why they selected that career. Sometimes it's a different career than they thought, what they love about it, what skills are important. Equally important, what skills, if you hate to do this, you don't want to do this job.
Well, and sometimes too, I think it's really important to hear from people that are working in the field, because you don't necessarily know how to break into that field or what steps you have to take. And sometimes I think, you know, you're midway through college and all of a sudden you're saying, uh-oh, I don't really know what I want to do. How do I break into this industry? And people are already doing the things that you should be doing. So it's really important, I think, to have all that advice, to know what steps are good to take. Have you heard a lot of feedback from some of the students about the trips?
Oh my goodness. We asked them some point questions like, what was the best activity? What have you learned the most? And I was just amazed at some of the simple things. There's a common thread in career stories. Someone that careered professional met that was passionate about what they were doing. No matter what it was, that passion is contagious. So the students heard that quite often. They also heard that if you know one person and then another person and then another person, that networking is so key. And they also heard that very often someone stumbled just like them, and they got back up and they overcame those things. But I think the hands-on work by far are the things that they appreciate the most.
Absolutely. And so important, I think, to learn some of these life lessons as we start out. How many participants do you have in the program? Do you know? So
when we gave that simple criteria, it was interesting that there were 500 students that fit that criteria alone.
So that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of students.
So we started off by narrowing that down to 50 students. So I met 50 students one-on-one and interviewed them to see what they were interested in and to give them a glimpse of what the program would look like. Out of that initial 50, we had about 26 students sign up immediately. And then through word of mouth, other career role models, other students recommended other students. So when we meet in Barnstable High School on the one Wednesday that we meet there, we have over 40 kids participating. We also meet weekly, and some of the students aren't able, because of access, to get to our meetings and to get home. So that's where we see a little bit of droppage, and we see an opportunity that our kids want to be involved, but they need to be able to get there and to get home. And we see about 25 on a weekly basis.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a tough challenge when you have working parents nowadays, and it's really tough to find those rides and things. Were you surprised that so many people wanted to participate?
You know, yeah, I definitely felt like we'll be hitting it out of the park if we can engage 20 students in this program. We've got 36 on an active basis, and then up around that 40 to 45 number that are making their best effort when they can actually get there. So we've definitely doubled what we anticipated, which just shows the need. And this is one town. Our goal is to eventually spread this to multiple towns on the Cape where there's a need. Who doesn't want a program that helps support what the school is already doing during out-of-school time? We're further reinforcing and providing enriching experiences for teenagers to help them pursue higher education, break the poverty cycle, move into a career that they love. Maybe they don't love it, but now they've got tools to be able to make decisions and empower them into their future.
Well, and I know too, as I was saying, that I was a first generation in my family to go to college. And I think sometimes you almost don't feel, when you're in that situation, that it's possible. Right. You almost feel like, wow, I just really can't afford it. I can't make this happen. I don't know how to do this. Are you guys going to help maybe offer some assistance as far as like financial aid forms and those things? So those are really tough hurdles, I think, for students who haven't had experience in that field.
Yeah, I mean, we are working right now. Not only is our goal year one to get our 3 seniors. We want them to launch right into school. We're helping them right now with that financial aid process. What does that look like? What are your school choices? What are you getting into? So there's a lot of navigation by a lot of volunteers. That's not Rene and I doing that. That's community people coming together saying, this is what I can do to help a student pursue higher education. So they're navigating all of that right now. But beyond that, our long-term goal for the program is we want full-blown tuition scholarships to major universities to be designated specifically for students that are graduating from our program. Because we want those academic institutions to know that when you get a YMCA Cape Cod Teen Achiever student, you're going to get a top-notch student because they know the value of what this means on the other end, and they're going to work really hard when they get there.
Wow, that is awesome. That is really, and it's such an amazing program. You were talking about volunteers from the community have come out and tried to help, and people who've come in and discussed their experiences. If someone's watching right now and saying, you know what, I could really contribute to this program, how could they, are you accepting new volunteers, and how can they reach you?
We are constantly accepting new volunteers. There's a role for anyone that has an interest in this program. So some people are program volunteers where they might come in and actually work one-on-one within our program at HYCC with students doing tutoring. So maybe there's a student that needs math tutoring, and so we provide the space and time for that to happen within the confines of the program. We need volunteers to do that. All the way up to we need people who are philanthropic, who have the interest in volunteering through their gift of treasure. And so this program does not happen without fabulous donors like the ones who seeded this project to begin with. I don't want to leave anybody out, but Lombard Trust, you know, the Cobb Trust, District Attorney O'Keefe, the substance abuse prevention efforts through Cape Cod Healthcare. Those dollars have really helped this program to be possible because it's free. And so that's where volunteerism kind of hits its highest level, is at that philanthropic level.
And I think it's important that we highlight that there's a key message that we give to our students in the program, that nothing in life is free. So there is a tremendous responsibility that they have to give back to the community and to reach back and pull the next generation of first gens up. So it's important that, yes, the program is free, but they're learning that they have a role to play in making sure that it's continuous and they give back.
What an awesome program, what an amazing message, and I think what a great lesson for those who are participating. Thank you both so much for coming to tell us all about the YMCA Achievers program. I really appreciate it. Of course, we had Stacie Peugh. She is the CEO and president of the Cape Cod YMCA, and of course, Rene King, program director of the YMCA Achievers program. For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sarah Mannel. Woo!